Today we're going to be hearing the story of Vita Cannabis, headquartered in Canada's capital of Ottawa. Vita has its sights set on becoming one of the largest and most advanced cannabis growers in Canada. Vita recently broke ground on construction of a state-of-the-art 315,000 square foot production facility in Nova Scotia. We are fortunate to have Greg Wilson, the chairman and CEO of Vita Cannabis, with us today. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you very much.
Glad you could be on the show. For people that are not familiar with Vita, can you give us a little background on what Vita is?
Yes, absolutely. Vita Cannabis was conceived from inception to build a leadership position in the medical marijuana market in Canada. We have assembled what I believe is the top management team in the country in the key areas of security, research, quality assurance, and cultivation. We're in the process of obtaining a commercial production license from Health Canada under the MMPR, which stands for Marijuana for Medical Purposes Regulations, which came into effect on April 1st of this year. And as you mentioned, we purchased a 315,000 square foot building in the town of Stellarton in the province of Nova Scotia, and we're nearing completion of a phase one build-out that will include a 600-light state-of-the-art hydroponic grow facility.
God, that's absolutely massive. 315,000 square feet.
It's big. It's actually 7 acres under roof. And so it certainly gives us the size and scalability to expand in what we see is a market with significant growth over the coming years.
Okay. How did you get into the medical marijuana industry? I mean, did you wake up one day and say, I must be in this industry and build the biggest grow facility in Canada? Is it the biggest grow facility? It sounds like it might be.
Well, it's the biggest that we know of at the present time. And I hadn't really thought too much, to be honest, about the industry itself. But after watching the CNN documentary hosted by Dr. Sanjay Gupta in August of 2013, I really started to think about the medicinal power of marijuana, and I was intrigued by the opportunity to create a business in a market that is in the early stages of significant growth, and at the same time be in a position to help patients who rely on marijuana for a variety of ailments.
Good timing. Are you looking to sell cannabis at the retail or wholesale level?
Our plans are to provide medical marijuana directly to patients, so at the retail level.
Okay. When do you estimate you'll have your first harvest, and how big do you estimate that'll be?
Well, as I mentioned at the outset, we're in the process of applying for a license, and at present we are in the security clearance stage.
Okay.
So our next milestone is the granting of what's called a ready-to-build letter, which is analogous to conditional approval. Now, we've already started construction in anticipation of that letter, and we hope to be ready early in January for an on-site inspection by Health Canada. And at that inspection, there'll be a focus on security protocol and quality assurance standards. And if we pass that inspection, we'll at that point be granted the right to start growing, which would put us in position to ship to patients in the spring of next year.
Okay. You know, as you're in the midst of it right now, what do you feel like Health Canada and government officials and regulators are doing right? What are they doing wrong? Do you feel it gets too onerous in any way? Or do you think the proper controls are in place? How do you feel about it overall?
You know, I think the MMPR is a step in the right direction. Again, it was put into effect April 1st of this year. And it really focuses on large-scale commercial producers. So I like the program. I think it's bringing needed regulation to the market. There's very strict quality control and quality assurance standards, which are good for patients looking for marijuana as medicine. And so I think there's a lot they're doing right. It is in the early stages of new legislation, so I do think there will be change. One change we'd like to see is a different delivery method. Right now, according to Health Canada's guidelines, we ship by either mail or courier directly to the patient.
Right.
And given the amount of money that we spend to secure our facility, we're not sure that's the most secure or safe form of delivery. So we're hoping over time that that gets addressed.
So you're hoping to be able to have patients come into maybe a retail location and purchase real time instead of having to wait for a courier or mail. Is that what you're hopeful for?
We do see some form of dispensary model evolving.
Okay.
That will take some time, but if they're properly secured and if they're professionally run and very patient centric, then we do think that would be a more viable model to work with patients longer term.
Now, I just want to stop and talk about the facility in Stellarton, Nova Scotia, the grow facility. I mean, this is so outrageously huge. I just got to get some more details. Is there any greenhouse aspect to this grow facility, or is it entirely enclosed like a building? And what's the security like there? You touched a little bit on the security, but can you give us a little more detail?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an old warehouse facility with 18 high walls, very secure, very few windows, and so it's a true indoor, fully secure facility. We're actually implementing a level 10 security standard, which is the highest level available, and includes a 3-meter high perimeter fence with barbed wire on top, dug down 2 feet below surface. There's 24-hour surveillance, night vision cameras, thermal imaging on the roof, and biometrics inside to control access. And I believe our facility will be the most secure medical marijuana facility in Canada and will set the standard for those that follow. Interestingly, our head of security is Derek Ogden, who spent 27 years with the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And for the last 7 of his 27 years of service, he rose to the rank of Director General and Chief Superintendent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Department across Canada, and had 1,300 investigators reporting to him. So Derek has tremendous experience working with Health Canada, working with security forces, and is a huge sort of part of our team, and that really resonates with Health Canada in terms of what they're looking for in terms of security.
That's great. I know you can't speak for Derek, but that's a big turnabout to go from, RCMP or government enforcement to then security on your end. I mean, what is his attitude toward the plant change, or was he always in support of legalization?
If you ask Derek, he'll say, in effect, he still believes he's sort of working for the government, because he's going to be working for a licensed producer that is subject to very strict standards set out by the government for the safe delivery of the product, for delivering a quality product that is medicine to patients. So in a way, Derek still feels he's working with the government to enforce very high standards in this nascent industry.
Cool. How much has been invested in Vita so far?
Well, we raised a total of just under $10 million to date, and we'll be spending a total of about $12 million on the facility itself by the time we're done. And we expect to be finished construction sort of in the December timeframe of this year. And we're currently raising additional funds to finish the building.
Is there still opportunities for investors to participate in Vita's growth, and how can they do that if so?
Yeah, it's a private round of financing that we're doing right now. It's only available to accredited investors.
Sure.
In Canada, the U.S., or foreign. And if anyone is interested, they could just go to our website or contact me through our website for more information.
Okay. So a little more detail, circling back to Stellarton, you can tell I have a fascination with the size of this grow facility. Will that be broken down into like sub rooms, smaller rooms? How will that look from the actual grow perspective?
Right. So we're starting with an initial phase one build out of 93,000 square feet, which will include about 35,000 square feet of actual grow space. And the rest of the areas will be, employee areas. Employees will have locker rooms. There'll be shower facilities where they'll shower, and then they'll put on pharmaceutical sort of grade gowns. They'll go through a negative ionizer before they reach the cultivation area.
Great.
To ensure that there's no pests or pathogens introduced to the cultivation area.
Right.
There's also, shipping and receiving. There's a security area, and we're also going to have an on-site laboratory, which is quite unique to Vita. And so there's a lot of infrastructure being built into the initial phase. And again, the grow facility itself will be broken down into 4 different grow rooms. So as the plants advance to different stages of the growing cycle, they'll move through these different grow rooms.
Okay. And you mentioned a little bit about a lab on site. Can you tell us what Vita's goals are in terms of research and development?
Yes, absolutely. We're very fortunate to have as our chief research scientist, Dr. Pritesh Kumar, who earned his PhD in cannabinoid pharmacology, and for the past 6 years has managed the cannabinoid research and testing lab at the University of Louisville in Kentucky. And Pritesh is a published expert and a featured speaker at medical marijuana conferences. And one of the objectives at the lab will be to develop proprietary genetics that can then be tested in clinical environments with research collaborations that we're creating. And one of those research collaborations that we're very excited about is with AltMed,
Yes.
a medical marijuana company based in Florida that shares our research-focused, science-based approach to producing pharmaceutical-grade marijuana. Interestingly, again, AltMed is setting up a lab of their own in Florida, and we plan to work together to, again, develop proprietary genetics and then collaborate to really advance research in this area and provide clinical evidence and efficacy to the medical community, which, and the doctors we've talked to, are open to prescribing medical marijuana, but are clearly looking for more clinical evidence and on the effectiveness to support this as a medicine.
Okay. Is there any specific ailments that you're interested in developing treatments or applications for right now, or is it still that's still a little vague?
One of the key areas that we see is for pain management and chronic pain.
Okay.
We've done significant profiling of a patient population that our 5-person grow team has been supplying for over 5 years in British Columbia. And this group of 5,600 patients, which, by the way, is very loyal to our grow team and is committed to moving over to Vita once we get a license, we've profiled 600 of these 5,600 people, and 70% are using medical marijuana for some form of pain management or pain relief. Yeah. So our initial strains will be geared towards those ailments and that patient population.
Okay. Interesting. I know that cannabis firms can't advertise in Canada, correct?
That's right. We cannot advertise. However, there are a number of things we can do to create awareness for patients and for the medical community. And, we're going to be partaking in a number of healthcare conferences with a focus on ones that Pritesh will be a speaker at. We've also got a medical outreach program where we'll be educating doctors and working with physicians across Canada to, again, provide clinical evidence and research to back up, the effectiveness of medical marijuana. And then, of course, there's public relations opportunities that, we'll be able to take advantage of to create awareness about Vita as a company and our approach to the business.
Now, what's your general feeling about where doctors are as far as the understanding how cannabis can help their patients, not just doctors, but the healthcare community in general in Canada. Do you feel like there's a huge disconnect and there's a massive opportunity for education, or do you feel like that gap's being bridged pretty rapidly?
I think there's work to be done. I think there is an openness from the medical community, certainly the people we've talked to prescribe medical marijuana, but they're looking for more information. And as I mentioned, one of the reasons that we're going to take an active role in advancing the research and doing clinical studies is so that we can share the results of that with the medical community and really work with them on a peer-to-peer basis to create credibility for Vita and educate them, over the sort of shorter to medium term. So it's not going to happen overnight, but again, we've talked to enough doctors that we feel are open to it. We've talked to a number of pain management specialists in Atlantic Canada, where our plant will be based, and there's a real openness and willingness to be educated and work with us on an ongoing basis.
Now, you'll have to forgive me because I'm a little bit ignorant about some of the laws in Canada. Can only the flower or the bud be sold, or can the oil be sold as well?
No, you're right. Only the dried product at present is allowable to be produced and sold in Canada as per Health Canada's guidelines.
Okay.
And so the oil we actually have to dispose of as waste.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's
it's tough to do, and it's actually not in the best interest of patients because of course the oil in a concentrated form is very therapeutic, and patients are demanding edibles and infused products.
Yes.
Because for some of them it's a more therapeutic form of taking the medicine, and also some don't want to smoke or use a vaporizer. So we do see those laws changing, hopefully soon. And when they do change, there's going to be a product development opportunity to bring in other forms of ingestion, be it transdermal patches or sprays or creams or edibles and infused products. So that product development area is another sort of area that we're working with AltMed on, and we've got plans to co-develop products in that area so that when Health Canada does allow other forms of ingestion, we'll be in a leadership position to take advantage and lead the way in providing that to patients.
Very cool. I get sad. I think about all that orphan oil out there. I hope at least you can find a way to store it maybe or something until that law changes, because that's so valuable. Hope that changes.
Yeah, we actually it's pretty clear. We actually have to dispose of it. We have to pay to dispose of it, and there's very strict guidelines on how we dispose of it. So at present, we're not able to store it.
Okay. Where do you see the cannabis industry in 5 to 10 years? I know it's a very tough question, and you're not an oracle, but I mean, it is just changing every day. And every time I think that, hey, I think I have a handle on this, this seems like it's growing exponentially. What do you think we'll see in 5 to 10 years?
Well, you're right. One constant will be change, and we see a number of changes coming. Higher levels of quality assurance and quality control. We do see the medical community over time becoming more comfortable as they become more educated with prescribing medical marijuana. We see a national dispensary system to replace the current system of delivery through mail or courier.
Okay.
We see product development, as I mentioned, with other forms of ingestion. And we also see the emergence of a few dominant brands emerging, certainly in Canada. We feel it's a huge opportunity for Vita to create a dominant national brand that's synonymous with quality and professionalism.
Gosh, I agree with you. I mean, right now, even just looking at the dosage problem, people come here to Colorado and they eat a whole candy bar, and then they have a strange afternoon, there's just no consistency, or there needs to be maybe a Coca-Cola of the cannabis industry or something where people have a consistent feel and experience over and over. So I wish you well with that. I know you have a background in the precious metals industry and finance, and I think there might be some similarities in that precious metals, there's definitely a big supply and demand dynamic. In precious metals, there's mining. In cannabis, there's growing. Do you see a relationship at all between the two?
Certainly there are some parallels that you pointed out. The more I learn and work in the medical marijuana market, the more I prefer that market, especially in Canada, given that it's a federally approved program. In an industry where I see just tremendous opportunity for growth and development, and the ability to help people. So it offers rewards in many different ways.
I agree. Well, Greg, as we close, can you tell listeners how they can learn more about Vita Cannabis?
Yes, certainly. Our website is vitacannabis.com, and I encourage your listeners to visit us regularly because we are in the process of a major revamping of the website. And so if you keep sort of looking regularly, hopefully you'll see the development of that revamp and the results of our repositioning.
Well, thanks so much for the interview, Greg. We really appreciate it.